Hey everybody, this is Rydo, and we are here for the 5th chapter, the final chapter of the Rise of the Shadows solo expansion, which is now out. While I'm here, I might as well re-roll something. What is that? Let's see. Defeat 3 great heist bosses. See, this is exactly what I thought we were going to get, is we were going to start getting daily quests along this line that give us packs for the new solo adventure, and seems like as soon as the entirety of the single player expansion happened, you can get that solo adventure, that daily quest, which probably also means that the daily quest to do Rustica and Rumble, or what are some of the other ones that are dungeon runs, like not Boomsday, but Monster Hunt from the Witchwood, or dungeon runs from Kobolds and Catacombs. I imagine the daily quests to do any of those are gone now. So we're coming here and we're gonna have to spend 700 gold, which means I will have enough gold to open some more packs. And I had an amazingly good pack opening where I got 4 epics and 1 legendary, and then one of the epics was a golden epic on top of that. I tweeted out a screenshot of that on my Twitter account in the middle of the night this morning. So this one, chapter 2, I've tried a couple times to do this, but I haven't been able to do it. So if there's any kind of end cutscene or something like this, we may miss out on that. But frankly, it's the timing, I have to admit, has been terrible for this expansion. First of all, the solo expansion should have obviously come out before anybody could open any packs of Rise of the Shadows, because in the time that this solo expansion has come out on a weekly basis on Thursday, which again they are also terrible about telling you when solo expansions had come out, it used to be on Tuesdays, I swear, but they've switched it to Thursdays for some reason. But in the same time, they have nerfed several cards, and then like a couple weeks later they buffed several cards, which makes no sense at all. Why not just have one announcement and one point where a bunch of cards get changed and just be done with it? Okay, so I have a golden legendary here. You start the game with one of Zyzel's evil decks. So this is one of these legendaries. There's one other card like this that you pick this card, and that's the only card in your deck, and then it magically changes and gives you a random deck. These are joke cards for the most part, unless you are a very, very new player and or don't understand any of the game mechanics and don't know any of the cards or don't have any of the cards. If you're even a mediocre player, though, you would never really want to do this because it takes away consistency. And so even if you had a mediocre collection, you could consistently build your own deck or have an auto-built deck for you inside of Hearthstone now, that you could learn how to use the cards, learn when is the best time to use the cards, learn how to combo cards. You really wouldn't be able to do that if your deck is changing every time. So yeah, scheduling, no. This clearly should have happened before any of the Rise of Shadows cards were able to purchase. You should have been winning by doing these things, packs that you could open, I suppose, as of today. Now, I would also say they shouldn't have delayed it to this point because we're only a few days away from E3. This is a bad time to to try to get people's attention, as everybody is going to either forget this by the time E3 happens, or not do this because they're busy like setting up for E3. I imagine most players aren't going to be doing too much setting up for E3, but you definitely will forget this expansion. So yeah, their scheduling is just terrible, and Activision Blizzard, many stories have been falling apart. I saw what I can only label a rumor right now on Reddit that Destiny 2 is changing its name, going to free-to-play, being removed from Battle.net and moving to Steam. That seems like a major change that as a rumor that frankly doesn't sound believable. But if it is true, then that's some craziness. That's potentially a big split between what is Activision and what is Blizzard. And both Activision and Blizzard are falling apart as companies. We're going to have 4 additional encounters. I wonder what that means. More bar encounters where we can rebuild our decks, or we're going to have to fight 4 additional bad guys. So if we reach the 5th boss here, we get 3 of these packs, which we've just been opening. Now that we own all of these, we could do anomaly mode, which would add a random anomaly, and I suppose you could just click this. I guess it doesn't re-roll, so you would have to either play with this all spells cost 2 less, or leave it alone. And that might be a game changer. This single player expansion has done a better job than most. And see, when we complete all chapters, we'd get this card back and a golden pack, which I assume is either cards that are all golden or a bunch of legendaries. Frankly, it'd be better.
Until the killing tour is dealt with. Come with me.
It would be better, frankly, if a golden pack was all legendaries. And because of this week, we now have the Warlock and the Paladin, and I can almost assume that the Paladin is the one that will be the easiest to play as. Now this is weird because this has a crown on top of it, but you were only getting crowns for the specific chapter you were on, and we're on Kirin Citadel, not the Delarian. Well, I guess maybe the whole thing's called the Delarian Heist. This doesn't make sense, because let's go back here. We did this, and I did this not with the mage. I swear I didn't do this with the mage. And I swear last week this worked a different way. Well, this is insanity. Just pure insanity. That the crowns used to represent that you beat each of the bosses in the 5 chapters, which would mean for 9 hero classes you would have had to have beaten all of the bosses in a run once 5 times for each of the 5 chapters, which would have been 45 total runs, which would have been insane even in an extremely long-term perspective. Apparently they've decided that is also accurate, so now you get a crown when I can only assume when you've unlocked everything for a hero in these RPG elements that they've added. So I want to play as a paladin. Here are the RPG elements that they added. I like these RPG elements, but it's also very unlikely that you'll unlock a lot of them. Unless we get a lot of daily quests to push us back to playing this, I wouldn't be surprised by the time the next expansion comes out if I still haven't unlocked all the RPG elements. Unfortunately, the other daily quests you get really aren't easily achieved or achievable at all via playing solo expansions. So I need to, while I'm playing, trying to equip weapons and lose 25 divine shields. Right now all I can do is the standard hero power, which just summons a 1/1 Silverhand recruit. Let's see. This run has 4 additional powerful bosses, which probably means that this is super difficult. We can only play the old hero deck to start off with. If we defeat 5 bosses, we'll unlock this deck, which you can see right now if you want, which looks like it's pretty much just paladin cards, and then defeat 10 bosses and you can start with this deck. And then if you defeat 15 bosses, you'll have a random deck, and this is the same for each hero. So this final chapter is gonna have to do something crazy to help me, because it's giving me no benefit of the doubt right now. Like, I just have to win in a standard game with 11 cards, with 15 health against 10 health. Usually there would be a treasure or an ability or something in the other chapters that would at least slightly be helpful.
Versus the great Akazamzarak.
So if this chapter is going to be even longer, I doubt I'll make it to the end. I'm already pessimistic because it certainly is just throwing on difficulty. And on top of that, I have the feeling that that even if I were to win here, I'm not unlocking anything helpful. I was thinking that
atop the citadel await the most powerful mages in Azeroth. Prepare for a long fight.
Yeah, they're saying exactly what I'm feeling. I'm thinking if I unlocked a new hero ability under the Paladin, maybe one of those hero abilities would have made the Paladin so overpowered compared to the other hero classes that it would make sense and you'd be able to succeed easily.
Your adventure friends abandoned you, George. But you can always believe in me.
Okay.
Is that it?
Now the first boss here will be no problem, and I suppose theoretically if you just need to defeat 5 bosses or 3 bosses, you could defeat the first boss and then lose 3 times or concede 3 times. Although usually it's the first 6 bosses or so out of 8, or usually out of 8, that are easy enough to do.
Is that it?
Weapon ready.
Like, this one's already down to 1. We don't really even need to know what the hero power is. Add a random magical feat to your hand. Let's see. I think the other thing was weapon related. I don't know how that would work. So I'm just gonna do this to use the hero ability. I'm gonna do this to lose the divine shield, and then do this to win. So the first fight, not difficult. But because
Elixir of vigor, your supply of pathetic henchmen will be infinite.
so it's giving me a hint here What does this do? After you play a minion, shuffle 4. Is that what it says? 2 or 4 copies into your deck. They cost 1. I think it would be stupid not to take this offer. Like the thing I really wish they would include, and it's too late to include it now, but it would have been nice, is if they had a way to just retry the challenge that you're on when you lose instead of having to start back. Particularly in this case, usually you only fight 8. There's 12 now that you're going to be fighting. That's a lot. That is really a lot of work to get up there and potentially lose and have to start all over again. And I imagine a significant amount of the player base of Hearthstone, which, let's face it, is probably a little dwindling at this point since it's such an old game, are going to not be able to have beaten this solo adventure as of day 1, as of a week from now, as of a month from now. I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of people don't ever really get around to doing it. Meanwhile, the month has started. Today is June 6th. The people that really care are either playing Arena with the new card changes and the new Arena changes that were also made. I didn't even mention those. Or they are playing with playing ranked play right now if they want to play Hearthstone so that they can get up the ranked ladder. And I don't know particularly how you fix that problem other than you don't release solo adventures on a weekly basis, so it takes an entire month. If this entire solo adventure had been released as one big package during the 3rd week of a month, or during the 2nd week of a month, that probably would have been a lot smarter. What's this guy's ability? After you cast a spell, resolve 3 health. Restore 3 health to your hero. And the text is just getting smaller and smaller, and my eyesight is getting worse and worse. Alright.
Is that it?
Weapon ready.
There we go.
Don't forget to tip your torrent.
Yeah, I think this solo adventure, maybe you have 5 chapters, certainly, so maybe you do a weekly release, like 2nd week of a month. You would say on Monday chapter 1 unlocks, come back on Tuesday, do chapter 2, come back on Wednesday, come back on Thursday, come back on Friday. I think that works pretty well. And if you wanted to schedule it, particularly in this case, with if you wanted to schedule that around the kids getting out of school, kids getting out of high school, elementary, junior high, I guess elementary kids could be playing Hearthstone. Although then this game is pretty much loot box heavy in the card pack, so maybe it shouldn't be targeted to young kids. So yeah, I could see doing 1 week right after, right when summer starts, the summer break starts for people that get to summer break. And you just have a week-long expansion where every day there's a new chapter, I play Hearthstone every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday anyways to talk about video game news and look at the games that have come out on Steam while also playing Hearthstone. So it would be a slight inconvenience for me if they had daily releases, but not a huge inconvenience, quite frankly. It's a lot more inconvenient to have to effectively ruin your schedule for an entire month doing something extra every Thursday, and I've managed to really mess up my schedule for other things also, because I'm doing a special series that I'm pre-recording, which broke up me recording a game I was playing. So now I've got like 3 different things that I've juggled and shuffled. And this hero power gives a friendly minion Wind Fury. It probably isn't a terrible complaint. It's a big complaint, but it's not the worst complaint you can have with the solo expansion, to just say this is Hearthstone still still messing with its release schedule in a bad way and just not being coordinated. It's probably a little unfair to say this, but it feels like with Ben Brode, the person who was the face, the person who seemed like he was in charge of Hearthstone, with him leaving Blizzard and starting his own company called Second Dinner, and him now working on a Marvel game. I think it's a Marvel card game. It feels like with him gone, all leadership left with him, and there's not a single person coordinating it.
Nothing scares me, except mine.
And there kind of is a lot to coordinate with Hearthstone. You've got the esports elements and those tournaments that they want people to be watching. Even though I don't really watch any of that garbage. That you've got the arena, you've got monthly ranked play, you've got nerfs and card game balance. You've got single player expansions, you've got arena, and inevitably they need to fix a lot of the bugs that are also in this game that seem like they're not getting addressed in a good way. You know, one thing that occurs to me about the bugs, what was that? Yeah, I just thought of it.
Get down!
Yeah, I've totally forgotten my train of thought there. There definitely are some glitches and bugs I've started running into, and I don't think it's just because I use an app to show people what's in my deck, the Hearthstone deck tracker app. But there definitely is some work that could be done to fix things. We saw a bug, well, or at least what I would call a bug, just before we even started.
Reporting for duty. The battle! I live!
Meanwhile, while I've been exhausted from doing work, I've also been overworking my voice, so I found some excuses to take breaks. And one of the breaks, during some of these breaks, I'm trying out this Yu-Gi-Oh! Android Play game. It might be on iOS too. And it's called Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Links. And it seems like it's probably not the real Yu-Gi-Oh! Game, because there's only 3 spots for minions that you can summon, and you can only summon one thing a turn. Maybe that's how the Yu-Gi-Oh rules are now, or maybe this is a international thing that they're following by some international rules. But I am 100% certain that at some point there were 5 spaces on the Yu-Gi-Oh board where you could spell out like the word destiny to win, and that seems like that's not the case. And so I've been playing that, and I should have lost this Divine Shield, come to think of it. And it's like the first digital Yu-Gi-Oh game I've played that was pretty good in a long time. There have been some Game Boy DS ones that I played a long time ago. After you play a card this turn, replay it. Upgrade. Okay. I'm gonna try this card. This sounds crazy. That being said, it does certainly remind me, having played it now, that the Yu-Gi-Oh game, that there's some major flaws with Yu-Gi-Oh compared to Hearthstone, and Hearthstone did fix quite a bit. Now, arguably, I don't know if that's the exact right comparison to make. Maybe I should be comparing Hearthstone to Magic the Gathering, but Magic the Gathering Arena is out there, and I hear it's doing pretty well. And so I may have to eventually just give up the ghost and jump over to Magic the Gathering Arena.
Is not permitted here, but you can still hurt feelings.
That being said, also, from what I've heard of Magic the Gathering Arena, there's kind of, it's a little too expensive, even in its early phases. A little too time committal and expensive, and if it's anything like Magic the Gathering in general, I feel like it's probably going to be pretty complicated. And I guess it would be an interesting argument to say which is more complicated, Magic the Gathering, which has a ton of it has a ton of cards, or Yu-Gi-Oh, where every card potentially could synchronize with thousands of other cards. This is a special Tavern Brawl where it's all robots, all mechs, which means if I take the one that says add all enemies to your adventure, I would get 4 mechs, which would be very helpful. Like, so that's the first thing I want to do. And then my other options are, I could remove a friendly minion for 0 gold pieces. I could choose a friendly minion, give it 4, but it costs 2 more. I don't know if there's really need to do that. I can look at 4 spells in your deck, reduce the cost by 3 for the turn.
would have done something.
Reduce the cost of something at random to 0 in your hand. Okay. So I'm gonna take a chance.
Didn't take you for the can to roll the bones.
Okay, so now that's 0. That's not bad. Now the question is there something here that I would like to remove? Yeah, let's get rid of that.
Now get it.
Okay. And so we've done...
If you ever need a bite, come on back.
We've done some modification to our deck, and I'm suspecting that we'll run into a third tavern.
This is, of course, the most dangerous of Nillies.
So we're going for a mech deck more than anything else right now. Yeah, normally on a run, when you're fighting only 8 bosses, you would only run into 2 taverns. But that third tavern is probably not going to change much.
crashing my portal party?
Okay, so this is 0, that's great. Competitive spirit sounds good. We'll take this. And remember, this is 0, so the elixir of vigor should put 2 copies of this in there, and then what are they gonna cost? Are they gonna cost
Nothing scares me. Except mice.
Are they gonna cost 1 or are they gonna cost 0? Yeah, they're gonna cost 1. So that's really great card combo. Alright. Which is more helpful? Give your minions +1/+1? Probably. And just take free hits. This adds a random portal to your hand, but that means they would have to play it like a card. There's special portals that have been on the field also. Magnetic Echo. So do I want to wait till like the 9th turn to play this, or do I want to use this early now? I think I use this early now. Now if I wanted to kill this, I'd have to hit it twice. I don't think it's really necessary.
Is that it?
It's down to 11. So this is working very well. By the way, Hearthstone deck tracker is not turned on right now. That's why you're not seeing it. It's just a little more effort than it's worth for the single player expansions. And we should have victory. Let me just look here. Can we get victory and lose this? Yes, we can.
Is that it?
So we're making progress to the changing the hero power, which probably will make the game easier to play in the long run. But so far I haven't seen any hero powers that make total sense. This would be spell focused. This is dragon focused. And this is just a small army focused. So I'll take that, I guess.
Adventurers are trying to defeat us. Do not let them complete their quest.
We get a little bit of dialogue each rung here. Which, that's writing, certainly, but that's not a lot of writing. When you see the Disney-esque, Pixar-esque animation and advertisements for Hearthstone, which they've made several, and used as kind of commercials on at least YouTube, it's a very weird dissonance you have there, disconnect between what you're seeing on those Pixar-esque commercials and what Hearthstone actually is. And I don't know how you fix that, but I would imagine that the first thing would have been in marketing and PR is to realize you can't bait and switch effectively the customer. And I feel like anybody who saw those commercials and didn't know what Hearthstone is and went to play this game would be sorely disappointed, because it looks nothing like that. And we certainly in 2019 are not in the era in which you can get away with disappointing your customers or deceiving your customers. The same is slightly lesser true, but still very true for the commercials that Blizzard did for Overwatch. Those commercials look like they're promoting they're promoting a new movie that's coming out or a cartoon series, and then when you get into Overwatch, you'll see that no, Overwatch is not as smooth looking and smoothly animated as those commercials are. On the other hand, you could argue that Counter-Strike Global Offensive has been out for a long time, and it certainly could have used a few commercials like Blizzard made to try and get more of an audience. They have a huge audience already, but on the other hand, you could also argue that both Overwatch and Hearthstone are games more targeted towards adults, so it doesn't make a huge amount of sense that they are doing these Pixar-esque animation cartoons. Magic the Gathering, at the very least, is mostly played by adults these days, I would assume, and it seems to very much target itself as
Carl would have done something.
as a game that is specifically for adults to play, or at least by adults, at least teenagers. It makes a lot more sense to see a bunch of 16-year-olds playing Magic the Gathering than it would a bunch of 8-year-olds, because Magic the Gathering is just so complicated. Alright. I've lost. That's pretty much exactly what's happened here, is I have totally lost. Taunt, Divine Shield. Alright. All of these are buffed. I don't even know why they're buffed.
Is that it?
That.
Avenge me!
To battle!
Hit that. Hit that.
To battle!
Hit that.
To battle! Job's done.
So yeah, I'm gonna lose here, and then like I've been mostly just kind of rambling. There's not a lot to say. Like, this solo adventure seems like it makes some incremental improvements, which is nice, to the elements of previous Monster Hunt and Dungeon Run style single player expansions. That being said, it's not really doing anything other than that. Oh man, I'm getting super lucky here. Super lucky.
To battle!
I fight.
Suppose we might as well. No, this is another taunt, so I need this. Unless I can get a major buff here. This. Oh, that's.
I fight.
I'm just gonna charge him back up to his full health. That didn't do anything because I didn't have a thing open on the field. That was stupid.
Reporting for duty.
Repent.
So unless I have just destroyed his deck, which I doubt, I've still probably lost. And inherently, this is where I'm just gonna either have to spend a ton of time trying to get these 2 chapters done, and this final chapter in particular is going to be a nightmare. That
doesn't work.
This hero ability, let's see. Freeze the minion that whatever I can't even read the text, it's so small. Like my eyesight's going terribly. My TV that I'm looking at is like 10 feet away, and it's not. It's like a probably 50-inch, maybe. Like it's not a huge TV. So there's some excuse there, but like I can't even read. It says freeze the minion that attacks you each turn. Freeze, I guess, one minion that attacks you each turn. Now this might help a little, but I doubt it. And we have to be particularly careful here. What is this death rattle? It's gonna summon a 1/1 Murloc.
To battle!
I guess maybe there's something to this that I could do.
Repent.
Job's done.
The cold don't bother me, man.
So we're really, really close. Really, really close to losing. Okay. So we kill this. Then we kill this. And that should do 2 damage to him. Kill this. That should do 2 damage to him. We can magnetic divine shield. I cannot believe I'm actually going to succeed here. This is. I was very resigned to losing. And this is me, frankly, at my best at Hearthstone. I've never been great at this game, but I am paying 100% attention here, as best as I can do.
Cards, recycle them. It's good for the environment.
Add a
Also
friendly
very slightly
minion.
evil.
So it's giving me hints and telling me to recycle them. Now there is a hero ability that it gives you helpful advice that you could have gotten in previous expansions. I haven't seen that treasure. So now that I have basically an infinite number of cards and an infinite and extra armor, if I get the 3rd hero ability, which is the elixir of something else. I forget the name. There's a card that will let you draw 2 cards, and you're immune to fatigue. So you could have an infinite number of cards drawing faster than your opponent. Maybe you need that, maybe you don't. Maybe there's a 4-card combination that they're telling us to use to show some strategy. Let's see. I think we'll still go with small army.
Are you going to the inn? Pick me up a coffee. Black, like my heart.
So we also have the second tavern here where we can adjust our deck some more. This is a standard tavern. But this isn't the standard tavern keeper in the game. This is just a different tavern keeper.
a new customer. Come on in.
Which is probably a smart idea, because it would have been annoying to hear the standard tavern keeper. You hear him every time you start the game. So I could steal an enemy. Death Rattle summon a random legendary minion.
Well, we get all types around here.
We could get Lorok or Cho. I could burn a spell. Reduce the cost. We could discover legendary. I think my choice here probably is
I can always
either take
enjoy
this
a
guy
quiet night.
or take this guy, so I'll take this
look,
guy.
You've made a friend.
Then either reduce the cost down to 0 again, or discover a legendary minion and add it to your deck. And I'm not sure I really need any more legendary minions, so I'm just gonna take a chance
luck.
again. Okay. Doesn't look too bad.
You don't have to go home, but you can't stay here.
Not a major ground changing there. We're halfway through the challenges.
Craftiest of ethereals. Your magic will be unstable around him.
So, and I very much don't have much magic I'm using, which is probably a bad move in the long run. Probably should have some magic.
I'm here for revenge.
This encounter was fated. Our destiny.
We need to look at the hero ability. If I could get double starting life and recycling, I'd be in a great position. Spells cost 0 the turn that they are drawn. Okay. Well, then I wish this had been drawn, because then I could potentially echo that forever. Or maybe not. Maybe it would be 0 the first turn, and then echoing it would turn it into a 1. Just gonna play this.
Reporting for duty.
And then return.
Chaos does have a purpose.
Whenever you cast a spell, give a minion plus 1 health.
Was that what you intended?
Right. Overpowered. After you play a card this turn, replay it. Targets chosen randomly. Not sure that's something I would want.
Nothing scares me. Except nuts.
I thought overpowered was going to be something that upgrades each turn, so that it would copy itself. It would replay the card 2 times, then replay the cards 3 times. I guess maybe that's asking too much. Okay.
Reporting for duty.
Is that it?
So he's hitting me with a lot of spells. Certainly.
That one got away from me.
Get down!
What does this one do? And if you cast a spell, gain 2 attack. Okay. Let's try this. I think that worked rather well. Yeah.
To battle! Job done. Get down!
Now anytime he casts a spell, I'm gonna get a copy of his spells. So I can use them against him. Unless he figures out a way to do major damage. Alright. This is gonna oddly screw up his plans now.
To battle!
Weapons ready.
That's not gonna kill those.
Let the pain speak to me.
Problem now is I'm out of cards.
The light protects me.
Reporting for duty. For Carl!
So do I want to kill something here, or do I want to just do damage? I think I want to do just damage. 17 cards to 22 cards. It would still be a long time before we had gotten rid of all of his deck.
Get down!
Taunt, Divine Shield. One of
Reporting
these.
for duty.
Could do this twice. I guess.
For Carl!
And then get rid of that guy. And get rid of one of those.
Job done.
Mind if I roll need?
I don't feel like I'm in a great position here, but it's a decent enough position. Like, it seems like once I can exhaust the opponent's hand,
Trust that is what you wanted.
you're somewhat good.
Reporting for duty.
This guy
I
just
fight.
hit that.
Ungoro belongs to the Titan. To battle! Job's done.
Now he's back to having 4 cards and I have none.
Mind if I roll need?
This is where that third ability would come into handy.
Reporting for duty.
Face me.
I guess we're just gonna try and get rid of as many cards out of his hand and fatigue win here. which we might be able to do. We effectively have 65 health, he has 28 health, as long as we can play enough taunts.
But I take.
Seems like a lot of his cards are built around
Nothing scares me.
around the concept of drawing more cards.
Reporting for duty. The battle!
You gigantic goose!
The battle!
But to even do 19 damage in fatigue would require him to draw probably 5 or 6 extra times.
Pain, speak to me.
And if I don't have something on the field as a taunt, I don't see how he's not just going to start smashing me in the face like crazy. There we go. Let's see. 8 damage to all minions. Is this the time to do this and get rid of his
The
field?
battle! The battle!
Let's see how this works. I kill this guy, he should give a divine shield to something. Will the divine shield happen first? No. So he's got 4 cards.
Reporting for duty.
Now he's got 3 cards, he's down to 14. This really is just coming down to the wire.
I hope you like my invention.
I'm effectively at 71 health.
Reporting for duty. Ungoro belongs to the Titan. The battle!
Now 11 fatigue damage seems believable.
I hope you like my invention.
There's a draw for fatigue. And unless he has Mechathune, which would be surprising, to say the least, I don't see how I don't win here.
For the maker! The battle! The battle!
Yeah, I've won by fatigue. The one thing I do like about Yu-Gi-Oh, though, is that if your opponent runs out of cards, they lose immediately instead of taking fatigue damage. I would prefer Hearthstone to play a little bit more like that. It's quite often when you're playing against real people, not AI, super easy to never run into a scenario where fatigue matters. Corrupted blood. Oh man, but if I shuffle the corrupted blood into each player's deck, that would be probably not too bad for me, actually. I'm gonna try that because I'll have so many cards.
This is a dragon. Be wary of the fire. Why do mages keep dragons anyway? Oh yes, the fire.
Well, I guess maybe a strike 3 system might not be too bad. If fatigue, first draw where you draw no cards, you get strike 1. Next time you draw a card, strike 2. Third time, strike 3, you lose the game. Would be better. In that previous game that we just played, if I had the 70 plus health that I had, and I was just fatiguing myself each turn, if I'd run out of cards, that probably would have taken like 20 extra turns, a ridiculously high number of turns in which I would have fatigued before I would have gotten rid of all of my health. What's this hero building? Deal 2 damage to a random enemy for 2 mana. Okay. Could be me, could be the hero, a minion or hero. Alright.
Reporting for duty.
Repent.
Oh, that's not gonna work very well for the guy. No.
The light dims, but we fight.
Reporting for duty. To battle.
Job done.
Time to burn!
Let's see, give him a random.
Nothing scares me.
Reporting for duty. To battle.
Repent.
There. So this is just gonna be tit for tat in probably all the games for a while.
Power flows through me.
Now this could be a dangerous card, but I've never actually seen anybody use it successfully, and it's been out for a very long time. So it's odd to have to make that statement. Bind shields.
Reporting for duty.
Now, do I want to take this one out? Add 2 4/4 dragons to your hand.
Is that it?
Or do I want to do damage? I think I want to get rid of it. This corrupted blood idea is going to be interesting. The probably isn't a lot of spells or abilities to have people drawing more cards, so for the corrupted blood does work, it's going to work, I think, relatively quickly, or relatively late in the game.
To battle.
There we go. And then I can also shuffle mine into the deck on top of corrupted blood. Alright, so let's do that.
Nothing scares me. Except moss.
Okay. This.
To battle.
This. That. We've gone down to 59 from 70. If you're holding a dragon, deal 3 damage to all minions. So this effectively is going to kill everything. Is there something I want to do with that before I attack? Because this is a Murloc.
One to complain about waiting, but face me, you tempting tyrant.
Face the airs of magic.
There we go.
Reporting for duty.
Not sure I'd ever not control any other minions. This is probably a bad card to have. But we can hold on to it, I suppose. Let's see. Magnetic Taunt Divine Shield. And this.
Reporting
I
for
don't
duty.
need any of you.
You blithering bucket.
To battle. To battle.
Now we've gone down to 46. He has 18 cards. The way Corrupted Blood works, I believe, is when you draw, it does some damage to you and then puts 2 copies into your deck. So theoretically, if you have nothing in your deck besides Corrupted Blood, you'll draw it. It'll put 2 copies into your deck, then it will draw another card, which is also the part that I didn't mention. And that will be a problem. Now, for me, I have 38 cards in my deck. Having 1 Corrupted Blood in my deck doesn't matter one bit. Oops. I did not understand. Oh, no. It has to die first before it does the Corrupted Blood. So I now have 2 more copies of this card, which is fine, in my deck. Which just means I now have 40 cards in my deck.
You pathetic pipsqueak. To battle.
Having all these legendaries and then getting 2 copies of the legendaries again is very nice, to say the least. So this
Nothing scares. Nothing scares. Except
attack here. I could kill this guy,
To battle.
but there kind of isn't a reason. Down to 25. This bronze dragon card, I don't know if I've seen this before. It seems like it's just a basic dragon card. Alright, Corrupted Blood. And Overpowered won't do me any good right now.
Reporting for duty.
But
To battle.
we can
is that it?
work.
Avenge me. Is that it?
Work that way. Yeah. That clears the field a little bit.
Face the airs of magic.
So the problem now is there's a chance that this has lifesteal, so I need to get rid of it. There is a chance that what will happen is we'll run into a fatigue situation, and so I would have to wait 14 more draws.
To battle. To battle.
Needed that lifesteal in particular to
Nothing
go away.
scares me. Except
Reporting for duty.
I could get lucky, I suppose, and we could get Corrupted Blood in the next draw. But alright. I think this is the best I can do. Do this,
Face me.
do this.
You ego maniacal. And face me. You overwhelmed. Oh, skies.
Interesting. It didn't summon 2.
Reporting for duty.
Alright. Do I want to kill this guy? I kind of have to. Got nothing better I can do.
Soul is in my hands.
And
To battle.
just get rid of that. There's the bomb for 10. There's 16 cards left. One of those is Corrupted Blood. Versus my 47 cards. This is a strategy. Unfortunately, this is just such a long game strategy that you really couldn't play it in ranked play. It would take way too much time.
You noxious ninny.
To battle. To
Get rid
battle!
of that. There's corrupted blood. That did 3, and it puts 2 corrupted blood into the hand. And I don't know if corrupted blood does 3 each time or if it increases each time. We might be able to see that. Let's see. Take 3 damage, shuffle 2 copies into your hand, into your deck.
Nothing scares me.
Reporting for duty. To battle!
You ungrateful underling.
So we may not even really make it to that point now. We may not even run into another corrupted blood. I might just win. So if I'm going to be defeated by anybody, it's going to be because I run out of minions or run out of cards and they're able to hit me really hard, really fast. Let's
Already.
You glittering bucket.
To battle!
just...
Is that it?
Yeah, I can just win now. So that's good. I'm making progress, but this is gonna be slow, certainly.
Propaganda has been more effective since we made the posters mustache-proof.
So the suggestion we have here is to take evil propaganda, take control of an enemy minion, which could be useful, certainly if there's a specific enemy minion that will get played by the bosses we fight. The other options would be after this minion attacks a hero, steal a card from your opponent's hand. I kind of wonder if maybe that wouldn't be better, but it has stealth, but it doesn't have permanent stealth. Or discover a quest reward, which I don't think is what it's too random, that one, so let's follow instructions. Meanwhile, we could have, this is the same art as the Bronze Dragon, but it's different abilities. Restore both heroes to full health at 10 mana. If you're holding a dragon, deal 7 damage to an enemy minion. Add a random dragon to your hand. Divine Shield Magnetic, more mechs. Deal 2 damage to everybody. Divine Shield. This one would be too much about spells, so we can't do that. So do we go mech, or do we possibly want this as a backup in case my health gets really low? I don't think I win even if I could play this on the 10th turn, because if my health is low, then recycling has completely failed at that point. So we'll stick with mechs and on to the next boss battle. It's gonna be a while. It's like, at this point we would be kind of close to being done with any of the other chapters. It's odd that they made it longer. It really doesn't feel like they should have done that.
Look, another unsavory type.
See, draw 2 1-attack minions from your deck. So if I can get this on the field, like, this is all kinds of early game stuff.
Job's done.
What's this ability? Discover a card. Summon a random minion of the same cost for 3 mana. Okay.
Reporting for duty.
We've got a Corrupted Blood play. We've got our Voltron play, which if they have 3 mechs on the field, At the start of our turn, we'll summon a super powerful Voltron with Quad Fury. Got a Divine Shield Poisonous here. This might be a discard deck, the way it's being depicted.
Reporting for duty.
Let's see.
I am the courageous Dinomancer.
There's now 2 mechs that we could get on the field. Assuming we don't use the magnetic ability.
Nothing scares me. Except nice. I fight.
Mind if I roll knee?
So this seems like a card drawing strategy. Like he's playing Jeeves in particular to draw and I assume discard cards.
Let me get that.
So I can frankly use this totally against them. I'll just kill that. Let's see. Don't know if I really needed to do that. But let's see. I've got to kill something here.
It? Avenge me!
I want to save this, play this next turn, play this, and I'll probably have Voltron by the next turn. Now that's a pretty bad card. Now that I know his strategy. And my health certainly is not good. I was given too many powerful minions to start off with. This. So if they manage to kill even one of these in the next turn, which they probably will be able to, this won't work. If they manage
Sometimes I go
to...
for a more direct approach. An unfortunate result of my actions.
Let me get that.
Alright, well... then we'll do it this way.
Precision. Perfection.
I'll need mana for that.
He's down to 13 cards. Get some lifesteal to get my health back up.
You thought you were lost.
Weave together from the discarded.
I'm in a tough position here.
Put your faith in the light.
I'm not getting enough minions on the field. He's down to 8 cards.
From the void. You have the boss of me.
The truth is in here!
From the void. I am a courageous Dinomancer.
I need 2 more turns before I can get and before I can play this. And then this would have to die also. Alright. Play this turn.
Don't test me, child.
What does this do? Summon a random minion from you discarded this turn. That's not gonna help. Discard death row, draw a card. Yeah, I should just hit this in the turn.
I feel icky.
Hyreek grants me wings.
From the void. I feel icky. I feel icky.
Hyreek grants me wings.
You are not the boss of me.
Okay, can I survive enough here long enough to play this? I think I can, but this is tough. You got 18 damage here, plus another 9 damage, 27.
The truth is in here.
Whenever you discard a card, you draw a card. And it's got lifesteal. This is not gonna go well. Down to 12 health. I think I've lost again. I don't see how I haven't. Play this. Play this. Play this. Play this. And I don't think that there's anything else I can really do. Just hoping. Every minion's corrupted.
Reporting for duty.
He has one card left. It has to be Corrupted Blood, doesn't it? Unless he somehow drew Corrupted Blood. I shouldn't have summoned this, actually, in retrospect. I could have gotten one more of these on the field, which are better than these. Corrupted Blood. Draw. Draw 3. Put 2 in the hand. Take Fatigue. Draw Corrupted Blood. I've won. It's an infinite cycle. This is the Yu-Gi-Oh! Defeating Ra, where Ra is one of the god guards. Oh, it's not an infinite cycle. Interesting. Well, that sucks. That ruined my fun there. Alright, well then what do we need to do? Start by getting rid of that. And then getting rid of that. And that. And then that. And then let's just say that one. I'm out of order here. I have, I guess, plenty of health at the moment. Yeah, 18 plus 12 equals 30. It's not the greatest amount of health. But yeah, I think we can do this. And the only cards he can play are these 5 cards. So if I can manage not to die while he tries to play those 5 cards, we should be fine. That being said, I think the way this resolves doesn't make this infinite, but it does make it double, so Corrupted Blood next turn I probably would win regardless. And every time one of these dies, we get 2 more armor. So what do we want to do? Do we want to kill this and give it potentially 3 health, and then hit it several times? Because I could hit it with my attack and give it 3. I could do that. Yeah. Say this. And this, and then we can kill that and that, and then we can just attack with the others. And that leaves him with only 2 cards left that he could play. And I'm sure the Corrupted Blood this time will win. Like, even in this instance where you have a strategy that you've set up and been playing the whole time, and frankly would not have succeeded at had you not had the recycling special ability, you don't get an instant victory. It's a long, drawn-out victory, giving the AI opponent a lot of opportunity.
You'll have to take your turns quickly in there.
Let's see, there's no time to read the cards. Go, go, go. Interesting. So 75. We kind of know our strategy though by challenge 9 of 12. So I should be able to figure this out pretty quickly and play it. But it really is just 110% attention is required.
Tick tock.
And how is that really going to affect the AI at all? Probably not, unless they program something into it to make it mess up.
The clock is ticking.
So you get the rope immediately, which the rope I think is like 30 seconds.
I'll make this quick.
It's not
You
it's
really
not
don't have time to kill.
as short as it seems.
Jade Serpent
An incredible discovery.
So she's gonna play secrets. I'm gonna get a secret for free because of it. When one of your minions is attacked, summon a copy of it. Okay. I will take that and throw it right back at you. And then in the turn, she can't play the same secret twice. So this will just be a tit for tat thing. How can I use counterspell to my advantage? Probably not very well. Just play counterspell to counterspell. I'm gonna play this.
The light protects me.
And should I get rid of something? Like kill this quickly, or it seems like you're probably playing a lot of secrets, so they're not going to draw a lot of a lot of the same thing. Alright, so mana bind and this. This.
Job's done.
An incredible discovery!
Yeah, we really are just going tit for tat, but it doesn't matter. I'm getting more health and they're losing health. Slowly but surely. But this guy needs to die.
Got something to hide?
Badly. I've let this guy buff up way too much. Alright.
I don't need any of you.
Here we go. Play that too.
Job's done.
I'll never tell.
I've really screwed this up. Well, I guess that's the second secret keeper, so as long as I can get this first secret keeper killed,
I don't need any
I might be alright. Alright.
Jade Serpent guide you.
This.
Nothing scares me.
Job's done.
Got something to hide?
I guess if I had accidentally split image on the secret keeper, that would be pretty bad. Yeah, I think we've got this game under control now. Like, once you exhaust their hand the first time, once they're on the defensive, you're in a good enough position. Let's see. Let's do that. Do
Reporting for duty.
that.
Is that it? Avenge me!
Attack with that. And so this won't be able to kill this, so I can use this next turn to kill it. And the only thing I guess I would want to double check is,
Reporting for duty.
while I'm doing this, I'm going to attack here for safety's sake. Just so I can know I can attack there. And then it duplicated it, darn it.
To battle. Job's
I
done.
kind of question how many more
I'll never tell.
how many more secrets can be
I'll
played,
never tell.
but probably enough.
Excuse me.
His strategy
you
seems
are
to
on
be
fire.
completely against around playing secret keepers. Alright. Divine Shield, Poisonous, and this. And let's see.
To battle.
Would this do anything?
Job's
I
done.
don't think so, so. And who knows if it's playing another duplicate to bring back another couple of these.
Reporting for duty.
Alright, that worked. So that should be the end of Secret Keepers.
Job's done.
So while he'll keep on playing Secrets, his strategy I think falls apart pretty quickly. Now.
I'm late. I'm late.
Although this now will get buffed up, which will be a problem. Alright, let's attack with this. And then hit this.
Ungoro belongs to the Titan.
And then kill that. I guess I should have summoned this first.
The battle.
I'll show them. I'll show them.
Alright. We've got Nim Voltron. I very rarely get this to work because it is crazy.
The battle.
Right, we have one mech. Do I have enough space for another mech? I don't think I do. So one mech, two mechs. This is gonna summon only one. And so everything, this has to stay alive, this has to stay alive, and this has to stay alive.
The battle.
Which is probably pretty easy to do. There we go.
We have many secrets.
20 seconds to play out my turn. Like, this never works in regular gameplay, by the way. It literally never works. But it has Mega Wind Fury, which should be called Quad Wind Fury, which means it can attack 4 times. Which is nice, I suppose, but not anything super special.
For the makers.
That would be the second duplicate card. So we don't even really have to do the Corrupted Blood this time. We'll just win next turn, almost certainly.
We have many secrets.
Don't try to summon this character if you're really playing against people, though. It never works. It's way too much setup, way too difficult. Let's just attack here, and attack here, and then we'll attack here and attack here. And Ice Block, okay. So Ice Block saved it, which means if I was to do something crazy, then probably wouldn't do anything. Let's see, let's try this. That it can't do 2 damage. And it would be silly to play this. No, I can play this. I was thinking of a different card. There we go. And then just do that. Yep. Now there's nothing to do. And at best case scenario, he has a second one of those cards. Otherwise, he's lost.
Explosion! More explosion! My time is
So what I'm expecting next is a third tavern brawl. Tavern, not brawl, but just tavern that will make some changes.
Propaganda has been more effective since we made the posters mustache proof.
So these are the exact, like, same. Well, no, this is different. Give all minions in your deck +3/+3, which might be slightly helpful. Add 3 random cards to your hand. They cost 0. Or take control of all enemy minions a second time. Oh, I didn't realize it was all enemy minions. And I can see how that would be helpful.
Vargoth is a crafty mage. I suspect he hides cards in his sleeves.
So I guess we're not getting a third tavern, and this is challenge 10 of 12. This is where it's probably going to start getting hard. This is where I could easily drop the ball at the last yard line, to use an American football reference that I'm not familiar really with.
I'm here for revenge.
So imagine having to spend all the time that we spent up until this point to get to this point 3, 4, 5 times because you lose, and that's probably the experience that I will have to get all of this done, just to beat each chapter once with one character, let alone trying to potentially beat each chapter once with at least one, with a different hero character. Like, it seems like now they want you to, in the 9 hero classes, beat at least one chapter to get the crown, which is asking quite a lot. Quite frankly, it's asking a ton. What is this hero build? Add a random arcane spell to your hand. And spell damage +1.
Reporting for duty.
So, for free, he can get basically Arcane Missile, or some other arcane card with arcane in the name. We have the Corrupted Blood strategy. We can do that again. And so we might as well do this and try our best to get him to draw cards. If I'd known that was duplicate, I would have played the attacks in the opposite direction and had him duplicate the 1/1. I guess that was potentially the right way to do it.
Easily to me.
If his hand's gonna be full a lot of times also, then that might encourage drawing more cards to burn them. Let's see. Can we take this guy out?
To battle!
I think we can.
Char, chill, or sparkle.
We've got to have a lot of things on the field though. Still running into that problem. We need lots of things on the field. Play
I
that.
don't need any of you.
Play that.
Reporting for duty.
25 to 34.
Has arrived. Taste the power of the arcade.
And of course, after playing the previous boss where you only have 20 seconds, now they've tricked you into playing a lot faster than you really should. Just as a matter of, well, setting expectations. If I played this, I can't.
The light dims, but we fight.
Could play this. I don't think that would help anything though. I think I want to play this.
Reporting for duty. To battle!
For me!
Science overwhelming.
Star.
Yeah, the problem is the arcane missile here. Normally,
Might of the Kirin Tor. Arcane power at a
they would have
moment's
had to
notice.
attack with one of these or both of these to clear the field. Okay, well, this and then this.
Ungoro belongs to the Titan.
That reduces the amount of damage they can do. Hmm. 10 damage. This is crazy. This is crazy. I don't know how they really defeat this.
Nicely.
Maybe if I had Lore Walker Cho on the field, maybe that'd be slightly helpful. Draw 1 attack minion from your deck, 2 1 attack minions from your deck. Can't really do much else. Let's see. This. And guess maybe you just put this here for consideration. Okay. Because I get 2 copies of every card I play, it doesn't really matter. Yeah, I don't know if the Corrupted Blood strategy is gonna win here. When he can just have spell damage increase so high. Yeah, he's just running me into the ground. I may have lost on this turn at this rate. Okay, do this.
Unity, precision,
This.
perfection.
And that.
Reporting for duty.
Okay. Spell damage plus 1, spell damage plus 2, spell damage plus 3. Didn't even know there was a spell damage plus 3.
Primitive.
Job's done.
Okay.
What you want me to?
You require my assistance?
Well, that potentially is all that needed to happen with Archmage Antonidas. Okay. That really saved the game for me.
To battle!
Like, that was an insane
Only a fool
save
rejects the Lich King.
success there. But I don't even know particularly how I can work on this success. Like, he's just spending all his cards now, trying to fix it. Let's see. Give your minions +1/+1, draw as many cards as possible, play this. I gotta do this and this, I think. And so spell damage +1, so
Mojo magic!
To battle!
I could kill this, or I can try to stay alive to get more of these spells. But I would need a lot of them, frankly.
2 heroes enter, 1 hero leaves.
Okay. For each card in your opponent's hand, this costs less. This would be a spell. This would be a spell. Can I do both of these spells? I suppose I can. I could kill this, which would give me another one of that. I could kill that, which would give me another one of that. I can do that. So while we have this on the field, we might as well make use of it. I really would like to be able to heal myself, but I don't see how I can do that.
Only a fool rejects the Lich King.
Okay. Next, what do we want to do? Well, we can do this again. We can kill that. And do I want to save that, or do I want to do this?
Reporting for duty. To battle!
This might be the last turn I have Archmage Antonitis, but he's down to 13, which is way better than 30. I'm surprised I'm winning here, quite frankly, and I'm surprised several times that I've been able to win. Feels like the game might be cheating in the background, giving me the cards I need at the last second. It's pretty impossible to prove that, but I play this and then just do the spell twice, and I'll win. That is quite frankly shocking. Shocking victory. I thought I was done for.
Gallic is the very incarnation of magic. Move quickly before he saws someone in half.
So we have 2 more bosses, and again, I guess we're not doing a tavern brawl unless the final boss is the tavern keeper and it's like a joke final boss. I wouldn't be upset if it was a joke final boss, like AFK is a joke joke boss, where it's pretty impossible to lose to AFK.
I'm here for revenge. You have reason to be frightened, Invader.
So I just want to re-roll each of these. I'm not sure we're gonna get any new treasures or anything otherwise. 100 health to 65 health. It's getting really high. Let's see. Give your hero spell damage +1. What's that? I can't read that bottom part, but I suspect it's give your hero spell damage +1 forever. Let's see.
Jade Serpent guided. Dalaran is not a toy to steal. People's lives are at stake.
Free of that blasted tower! Behold!
I have no idea what they're trying to do here. But while we're at it, let's do this and do this and fill his hand potentially with garbage cards.
Dalaran could have been your home too.
Maybe we're going for a corrupted blood strategy here, or deck destroying strategy.
This city is under my protection.
Meanwhile, as he gets more cards, this is getting cheaper and cheaper. Okay. So he won't have any more cards, so now is as good a time as any to play this. That didn't quite work out the way I'd liked.
Feel the wrath of Calicos.
Yeah, oh, it says +1 currently at the bottom of that. So yeah, this is just gonna increase.
My hand is full.
So he's going for a hand destroying strategy too. Alright.
Face me, you overgrown host.
A new hello.
Ew. Game over. I've won. Echo at 0 is Echo at 0. So, frankly, I just need to keep playing this until the timer runs out. And the animations are slowing me down a little bit, but we've been able to create a minion that will summon more than 7 microbots if it dies, and will be pumped up enough to do a one-hit kill, assuming I can just play these cards well enough. Of course, this is not something that would ever be playable in ranked or arena, because you wouldn't be able to change the price of these cards down to 0. So this is just a special thing that, well, it's a 1 in a million opportunity that I lucked out in. And see, I was wondering about this, whether the first card would be 0 and then the next Echo version would cost some mana. But they clearly didn't imagine that, so they didn't program for it, or they did see that it could happen and it didn't matter. Victory in playing the exact same card over and over again. And quite frankly, I just need to keep doing this even if I get above 100 damage, because there's better safety in that. I could cast the other spells and try and freeze things, and maybe I'll do that just to make sure. There's no way that they could add poison to this guy and kill it that way, or cast a spell to destroy it. But yeah, I can't imagine that there's a actual successful defeat here. Like, none of these cards are metal mechs, so they couldn't magnetize like what I'm doing. So we're really just looking for the largest amount of damage we could do in one character. And this probably won't be a world record breaking amount or anything like that, but it'll be a personal best by far. Like, the only thing I can really do is summon or freeze, and freezing one minion is probably not necessary. There's a few cards that you could use to defeat something like that. Do a little damage to it and then play the spell that destroys the damaged minion. Silence cards, if he has any silence cards, could defeat it. Frankly, if I'd waited till the next turn and this was still on the field, then maybe I should have done this whole thing here. Are we running into the danger of the game crashing? I don't think so, but I wouldn't be surprised if it did. Anyways, it's not like Hearthstone is particularly well programmed. Hearthstone, I guess, is one of the best examples of a Unity game, though, programmed in the Unity engine. Sure, let's do double the amount of damage. Maybe that'll let us skip the next boss fight completely. There might actually not be a timer here, actually, come to think of it, because we're playing a solo adventure. So let's go to 200 and then end the turn at that point, because if the rope was going to happen, it should have happened by now. And sure, I'm sure people will say, no, go bring it all the way up to 999. But is it really worth the next 5 minutes of doing this just to do that? Because it would be at least 5 minutes, probably closer to 15, because the animation here with the echo is just slow. So I would just say, imagine in your mind that I just kept on doing this until it went up to 999. And I assume it stops animating at least at 999. So let's just do one more, and that puts it over 200. And then freeze this for good measure, and then end the turn. And if I somehow don't win, that would be crazy. Well, he froze me. Maybe I should have done more. 202 damage each time. Alright. See if this triggers this trap. see if casting a spell triggers the secret. It does. Alright. Well, we're oddly in a weird position, and I guess it's going to take us a couple more turns.
The light protects me.
So he was granted a reprieve for a couple of turns. But unless he can freeze, and he probably can because I gave him all those free spells. So it's going to take a couple more turns. But the trap is set. Oh.
Unity, precision, perfection.
Alright. Attack here. I'm gonna cast a spell to see what that does. Doesn't seem like it does what I want it to. My fear now is this is going to... if he has the spell that gives him immunity and I do a massive amount of damage, it may not count that massive amount of damage. So we should just play towards a backup strategy, even though almost certainly it's not needed. Alright. For each card your opponent has, this can be played for free. And then during the secrets, if you give it Divine Shield again. And I don't want to play this because it might summon a taunt minion. So, victory. 207 damage in one attack. Could have been, frankly, 999 damage in one attack. That took longer than I thought it was going to, though, after we puffed up that card. And then the last one is not giving me a suggestion, so I can shuffle 5 random treasures into your deck, which is random. After a minion attacks a hero, steal a card from your opponent's hand, or just give all minions in your deck +3/+3. I think this is by far the best choice.
That god is among the greatest mages of his generation. You go in first.
He has 100 health, and he summons a 2/1 elemental. It costs your spells. What? It casts your spells. I think is what that says. I don't know how that's gonna work. We can still definitely screw up here, though. Let's not ignore that possibility. It's totally possible.
His plan is finished.
I want to hold on to this card in case I decide to play it kind of early. I have 70 health, I have recycling. He has 110 health. I thought it said 100. Well, should I wait and try to play this? No, I should just play it early because I get 2 copies anyways.
These little guys just love magic.
I serve the Kirin Tor.
That's a good spell.
The spells cast an additional time. It copies your spell. So every spell he tries to cast will happen another time for every time there's one of these on the field, which means that this is a heavy mage strategy. If I could steal several of these and then play this, it would potentially give all my minions +3/+3 multiple times. I don't know if I can wait that long to play this, though. after you play a card, replay it. So you play this, and then it would cast a second time, then play this. I see his strategy here, but I'm gonna need that 10 mana steal all the enemies spell, which may not be easy to come by. This.
Reporting for duty.
I'll just get rid of that guy.
I serve the Fire Lord.
These things are so heavy.
So I have a strategy. The problem is the strategy doesn't really work right now. Recruit 3 minions that cost 2 or less. Could do this twice. And then I'm gonna try this. This may be a little premature, but now everything should be buffed. And we should go ahead and get rid of this.
Job done.
Maybe I should have gotten rid of that.
My calculations are flawless.
Next turn, if I play this, I should have 3 very strong minions on the field. But actually, let's play this first.
Ungoro belongs to the Titan.
Is the corrupted blood going to be something that works here? I don't know. My health is not where I'd like it to be. Alright, we can play this for one.
Belongs to the Titan.
And then we can do this.
Job done.
We've got some big creatures. And no mechs, unfortunately. I still only killed one. I might lose. Still might very well lose. Alright. Play this. I have 49 health. I kind of need to get to the next turn so I'm able to play this. And then be able to do some damage. Good thing these guys are only doing 3 damage. Okay. Leper Gnome. Or remove.
Ungoro belongs to the Titan. Reporting for duty.
Play that out of order.
You grasp the infinite.
At the end of your turn, draw 3 cards. Corrupted Blood would work very nicely with that. If I can make it that far, though, I don't know if I can. I think I may have already lost.
We will shape this world to our will.
Play this. And we just gotta take something out.
It'll give you a tour of the city if you like.
I serve the Kirin Tor.
Squire, ascend!
Gadgets and steel.
I don't see how I haven't lost this. All the setup, all the patience, all the struggle, all the close calls, it's gonna come to this final battle, and you're not and you can't just like concede or restart before you lose and come back to this unless they've changed it. So the entire length of this stream, just imagine doing that 3, 4, 5 extra times. He still has 14 cards. Unless I draw the 10 mana spell to take all of his minions in the next turn, I've probably lost. In fact, I'm not even sure I'm gonna make it to the next turn.
You need only to see it.
Yeah. So I have a taunt with Divine Shield, and then an Echo card that I can just play on it in the hopes that it would power it up enough to kill everything that tries to attack it. Meanwhile, this can't really do anything. So, yeah. Like he's destroying his own hand, which is fine, but it's not enough. He's letting me potentially win.
I wanna be just like Medivh.
You play with fire, child.
So fatigue, sure. Okay, what in the world do I do that could stop this? I could shove a mine in there for 6 mana. I can play this on the field. I can play this. This is clearly the right move. Is that the right move?
Precision. Perfection.
Is that the right move?
But we fight.
Summon a random legendary, summon a random legendary. I can't play this anymore. We can just hope random legendaries win it for us. And fatigue wins it for us. But almost certainly it's not going to. This lifesteal might do something.
Dalaran has arrived.
I can put now Corrupted Blood, which would do less damage than Fatigue would, or I could put a Mine in it, which would do more damage, but in the less damage actually in the longer run.
Repent.
So we've got to kill this off the field first. And then I think our goal here is to maintain and lose the least number of things as far as Divine Shield. So I want to attack here, and my hope is that he'll have to attack this and that'll get me lifesteal. So let's just see what this does.
I've got tons of these things.
If I win this will be insane. Like, total insanity if I win this. The game would clearly be cheating in my favor. Now, the Lich King is about the best random minion to get in this scenario.
The power courses
11, 12. One more turn I win if I can. The trick here will just be, can I manage to do that? Let's start by doing the maximum amount of damage with that, which is that. And then well, can I just win right now? Actually, 20, 28. Yes, I won. The game cheated. I cannot think that I honestly won here at all. Like, the game clearly cheated in my favor there. Like, there was no reason that should have worked. And there's only 8 spots here, so they didn't even program it.
Without their leaders, we control the city.
So we defeated 5 bosses, which unlocks the adventure deck. We defeated 10 bosses, which means I get the Holy Flames deck. I lost 25 Divine Shields in the process, so now the hero power I could choose would be to give a friendly minion Divine Shield, which would have been slightly helpful instead of summoning a 1/1 Silver Hand Recruit. And I do think Paladin does have a chance here to be the hero to play. And we get different art here, and we get the 3 packs. The Kirin Tor Big Score 3 Rise of the Shadow packs. And so the last thing would be to try and get this card back in this golden pack. And I imagine I can just do that on my own free time. I don't see a reason why I would want to make a special video of that.
I'll make them pay for what they did to Carl.
He did not get a crown, which before you would have gotten a crown. So crown now means you've unlocked everything. I didn't equip enough weapons. So this RPG choice element that would have been able to add a 1/1 Silver Hand Recruit to your hand, which wouldn't have been very useful, frankly, in that run. And even though I first time succeeded and defeated 12 bosses, you still would have to play the game a second time if you wanted to unlock the random runs. So you're going to have to play at least 1.5 games for each of the 9 hero classes. So Adventure has you start with these different cards, which seem to be alright. Nothing special, just a good foundation of cards. Holy Flame, same idea. It's a foundation of a concept of a deck, but with only 11 cards, it's not really a great deck. And then
Power of the
let's just look at the Warlock for a second. I'm not going to actually play with them. So you're going to start the Warlock with the standard life tap, draw a card, take 2 damage. If you use the hero power 25 times, you'll take 2 damage and deal 2 damage. That's not terrible. It's probably a little bit... it's balanced. I don't know if it's better or worse than the Mage Fire Blast ability. And then if you summon demons, 50 demons it looks like, you take 2 damage and summon a 2/2 imp, which in the long run, summoning a 2/2 imp is probably better than doing 2 damage. And you'll have to start with the sacrificial deck, which is just some Warlock cards that are built around the concept of sacrifice, I assume. And then you defeat 5 bosses, and then you can play the next deck. What is it called? With these cards in it. How do you get the name? I guess you don't get to see what the name is until you unlock it. And then after you defeat 10 bosses, you'll get the next deck, which is this. And then if you defeat 15 bosses, you'll be able to play as a random deck. But also, you'll have this, now that you own the entirety, you can play anomaly mode, which anomaly here is, this anomaly is different than what it was before, and I imagine you have to either play a run or you play that same anomaly in each of the runs. But anomaly mode may be very helpful. After a minion is summoned, if it gains Taunt, Divine Shield, or Rush, or Wind Fury at random, so that could be very helpful to try and finally get this Violet Hold done. I frankly would have to play this once off screen just to figure out what would be the best hero to play as. I imagine Paladin is the best hero. As far as I can figure, ranked Paladin is still one of the best characters to play if you're playing in rank, so I don't see any reason that'd be different. And this guy, I guess, just has a crown because he's unlocked everything. But notice there's a check mark down here saying he won with Fire Blast. He hasn't won with this. And there's a check mark here saying he won with Kindling Apprentice, but he hasn't won with this and this. So there still are reasons to just go crazy with this expansion and play it over and over again if you really wanted to be OCD about it. Chapter 2, though, was the free chapter that came in the first week. You got chapter 1 for free, and then you could buy chapter 2 in the first week that it came out. And here we are in the 4th week, and we're playing chapter 5, so the whole thing is confusing. I imagine this artwork will change. You can't go into anomaly mode this way from here. It definitely feels like the Delirian Heist is designed so that they can remove Rastikan's Rumble and the Witchwood and the Kobolds and Catacombs expansions. And if you haven't bought like any of these other ones like Karazhan or Frozen Throne, I don't think you can easily get them if you can get them at all. The one thing I was going to do was open 25 more packs, and where I am with my main account, and we'll jump over and just do a card pack opening for the other accounts too. I have on the main account all the classic cards, so there's no reason to open any classic cards. So we'll do 25 Rise of the Shadow packs extra on the main account to get the most recent expansion, filled in as much as possible, or just get a bunch of dust, which is probably what we're really going to have happen. And then on the other accounts, I think we are better suited to buy like 25 packs of classic cards and try to get the last few epics and legendaries that are not in my European or Asian account. So let's do that. And this has been a long video so far. I believe I got this from a watch and learn, so we might as well just open this while we're here too. Best thing I can get are just high cost, high dust cards, golden versions, golden legendaries, ideally. As for cards I'm actually looking for Rise of the Shadows, I have no clue. I really didn't think any of the cards in the expansion were amazingly good, but they were good foundational cards, and they did feel like they were kind of above the power curve in general. But I've really never seen an expansion in Hearthstone put out a strategy that is amazing and great and potentially changes how Hearthstone plays without them not really supporting it enough so that that actually happens. Mechs, when introduced, and magnetic as a concept when introduced, does make some changes, but then a lot of the mech cards from Goblins vs. Gnomes were removed from gameplay because the Goblins vs. Gnomes, I believe, is in Wild now. So then they have to replace new mech cards to replace the old mech cards, and they never really added any more. Like when you compare it to the Yu-Gi-Oh cartoon, which is kind of my basis for card games, but the anime, the cartoon itself, at least in the beginning, every single person had a deck of a lot of cards that were very specialized, doing a very unique strategy that apparently none of the other players really were familiar with and knew how to play. That's not really the case in Hearthstone. You can make a Murloc deck, you can make a mech deck, but if you have a mech deck, it's not going to have amazing strategies that are so out there and so wild and so unfamiliar to most players that people won't see what you're doing coming. That being said, I would also argue that the card game of Yu-Gi-Oh! As it's depicted in the anime, where they're just making up the rules as they're going along, we got a legendary here. Would have been nice if it was golden, but whatever. That's also a pretty bad way to make a game, too. The rules need to be easily understood and very graspable by the players. Otherwise, you're going to run into a lot of games that feel like cheating. I think Hearthstone could best fix itself if it could just speed up the gameplay. If ranked had you starting with 15 health instead of 30, or 20 health instead of 30, that would probably take the average game from being about 30 minutes down to 20, and that would feel better than most changes you could make. And Yu-Gi-Oh! Went the other way. That their original card games, you had a ridiculously low amount of health and would win in about 10 minutes or lose in about 10 minutes, and then as they expanded and worked on it, they started adding more health and making it a longer experience. I would like to be able to maybe customize it. The same would be true for like poker tournaments too. Like if you could watch a poker tournament on TV, ooh, another legendary. We're getting lucky. The pity timer for legendaries is 50 packs. I definitely have not opened anywhere near 50 packs since the last legendary. But yeah, if you could watch a poker game, a poker tournament, and in an hour instead of 6 hours per day or 8 hours of footage. Ooh. Alright, last night I got a legendary and then 4 epics, and one of the epics was golden. Today I've gotten 3 legendaries. Either Hearthstone's servers are broken or they have just significantly increased the drop rates. Getting 3 legendaries so close to each other is unheard of. Just insane. Maybe this is an experiment in their back end of changing the rates to get loot boxes out of Hearthstone, because there is talk of legislating games with loot boxes, and these card packs are basically loot boxes. This is a game that could be marketed, and that's the way it's being written, as the laws, or how they're thinking about writing the law, is so that any game that could be marketed or played by children can't have loot boxes. So maybe they're experimenting on, hey, how would we convert our player base into free-to-play players like me, because I think I've spent about $5 on one welcome bundle on Hearthstone over 5 years. How could they convert players like me into payers, for lack of a better phrase, who would pay, like, they'd probably want somewhere around $60 every expansion to give you all the cards. I don't think it's going to be a cheap $5 or $20 per expansion if they got rid of loot boxes. And this is all just speculation on my part. And quite frankly, since Hearthstone is so old, I'm not sure I'd be willing to pay for the next expansion. I think at that point, that would just be a good position to rage quit Hearthstone, and I think a good percentage of Hearthstone players would fall into that same field. If there's no way to free-to-play grind for dust or grind for gold, then I probably would just stop playing the game. And I imagine Blizzard would get that feedback and not do that, so then they'd have to try and sell like a new expansion bundle to people that guarantees all the new cards, and then free-to-play people would have to be able to save and grind up gold to purchase each card that they want individually, or purchase a gold version bundle. This is ridiculous. This is ridiculous. 4 legendaries in 28 packs. And there's 4 more packs. We could get another legendary. The game up until this point has not tried to fill in gaps when opening packs either. So it's not like, oh, you have all the commons, you have all the rares, let's give you all the legendaries now because we won't give you duplicates. Hearthstone has been more than willing to give you duplicates and make you turn it into dust. Hearthstone has been incredibly greedy up until this point. All of a sudden, it's decided to be generous, and it's like, oh, you're treating me good now, but what does that mean? That's an epic. That's not as good as a legendary, but that's something. Today certainly is the day to open packs, so we need to jump over to the Asian and the European account for sure, and just frankly, I'm not sure if I shouldn't open 4 more packs since I have 400 gold. Probably not. I don't know when the next expansion's coming, so it's probably a good time to start saving up for the 5,000 gold I'll want to spend then. So we got a very lucky victory. We got very lucky card drops. Today has been the epitome of luck. So we have 1 epic extra, 30 rares extra, which will be 600 dust. The 1 epic is 100 dust, and we have 101 common cards, which is 505 dust, equaling a total of 1,205 dust to use with hsreplay.net, I believe is the website, that will tell you what cards to build or what deck you can build, so as to know where to use your dust best. We got this legendary, and this I assume is all Rise of the Shadows stuff. This legendary, this legendary, this epic, the second copy of this epic at least, and here's an example of a bug. We have a golden rare, which I can disenchant for dust because I don't really care to have goldens. This legendary, this one was not, we looked at this one but it didn't get marked off as being looked at, that's the bug. We got this second copy of this common, this golden rare, which I can dust, and notice how that just gave me a whole bunch of cards that, let's see, this is a classic golden card. Why do I have a classic golden wisp? I don't know. Like, I should be dusting this. And then it jumps around again. Dust this one. Dust this one. And we'll keep this one because it's not a golden one. Then you come over here and you've got some more things that are glitched. See what I mean about the game being messed up? 5,500 dust. It seems like the amount of dust might be messed up too. Alright. And that's all standard cards that we were looking at. And they have this new featured card system. If we go to Rise of the Shadow and we use the key phrase for missing, I imagine there's still a decent amount of cards that I don't have. So I'm still, even with that luckiness, still not really at a full complete set of Rise of the Shadows, but I'm a lot closer to having a full complete set of this expansion than I have had for any of the previous expansions. And on my other accounts, I just went into the wild cards and dusted all of them because then I could craft newer cards that are still playable in standard. I need a second copy of this card, that's why that's there. This is not bad. This is not a bad position to be in. We have every common, every rare in the expansion, it seems. So it's just a bunch of epics. If I filter down to classic, I'm not missing anything. And these other expansions, I'm missing quite a lot, but who cares? I wanted to keep all of my cards that were in Wild. It's not a good idea even for my oldest account, which is the Americas account. It probably wouldn't be a bad idea if I went through all the Kobolds cards and said, hey, let's dust everything that we have and use that dust to craft more things, because you're never going to play this if you don't play Wild at this point. I just haven't been willing to do that yet, But maybe next expansion I'll think about that some more. I was willing to do that on the other accounts. Alright, so let's just quickly jump over. I know this has been a long stream, and it's updating the European account, so it's installing. So while we're doing that, people have been talking on the chat. These are posts from a while ago because I didn't want to interrupt this. We have one of my regular fans, Lemon Lover, on the chat saying Rydo on a Thursday ? And then he goes, oops, just saw the message at the top. Then we have a new person, I think, going by the name Klazes, saying it's hardcore. He's probably mentioning something I was doing while playing. And then we have a new commenter called Ate Apatas, says in bold, go face GD.
Gather round, everyone. The fun.
And that almost certainly was when I was when I had 200 attack with that minion. Let's go ahead and re-roll this while I'm in here, just to do a little cleanup. Before I buy the card packs, I want to go into this on my European account. No telling when I'm going to actually get around to playing any of this, but I definitely want to unlock it.
You gotta keep these
So we're just going to buy it with gold.
I wire up the rockets.
There we go. Purchase. I haven't done any of the chapters here. But I guess you could do anomaly mode, so that might make it easier to do it again. I don't even think I did all of the Boomsday Lab. Like, this is... Yeah, I don't think I did the Boomsday Lab or anything else on the European or Asian account, so I wouldn't be surprised if I never get around to it. But let's open 25 packs on this. Oops. Well, that was a mistake. I was gonna open classic packs. If we look here, as far as the missing cards in classic, there's this legendary still to get, this legendary, this legendary, this legendary, this epic, 2 epics and another legendary, and then a whole bunch of epics and legendaries, which getting these cards have a longer chance of being useful than getting Rise of the Shadows cards, because classic cards tend not to be put in the Hall of Fame, which is the equivalent of putting them in Wild, and they tend to be put in the Hall of Fame one by one individually, whereas the entire Rise of the Shadow expansion will eventually be put in Wild in one fell swoop after they put Witchwood and Boomsday and Rumble in the Wild too. But I made a mistake, so now I have to live with it. Maybe it's not going to be too bad of a mistake, because if we're going to get really, really good drops, maybe we're only going to get really good drops on the Rise of the Shadow packs, and so that this might turn into enough dust where I could craft at least a few of the epic cards that I'm missing in Classic. I doubt I would have enough dust to craft more than one of the legendaries in Classic. So next expansion, unless I screw up again, there's our first golden, and that was really fast. Next expansion, I still will be opening at least 25 packs of Classic, trying to catch up. but all of my accounts are doing pretty good, particularly when you consider the Americas account is like 5 years old and the European and Asian accounts are really only maybe 2 years old. Although it is also a lot of extra work to do all the daily quests on the European and Asian accounts. It mostly balances out with the amount of news that comes out, although sometimes there's a ton of news that I talk about on Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday streams while playing Hearthstone, and sometimes there's very little news to talk about and a lot more Hearthstone that needs to be played because the daily quests are not going well. It'd be nice if we see 2 more legendaries, but that's not really realistic. If this is an intentional thing where every 5 packs gives you a legendary going forward, that would be crazy. Like, it'd be nice, certainly. Of course, I also would be a little afraid if they start being too generous, because it might be that they're thinking about putting Hearthstone in maintenance mode and not adding any more content. And it would be a weekly struggle to come back to Hearthstone and play ranked if there's just like no new cards ever coming out and nothing new happening there. The other thing to take from this, if they get away from the loot boxes and the card packs, they're basically selling in the same model that Artifact tried to sell in, and that did not work at all for Valve. Exact same card twice. If I had more time, I would do deck rebuilds off screen or even on screen, but it's pretty easy to do a deck rebuild now because built into Hearthstone, they'll just tell you what they think is the best deck for you to play with based on the cards you have, and it's pretty good. Whereas hsreplay.net will look at your deck and then tell you, well, if you spend this extra bit of dust according to our records, you could get a higher tier style pre-built deck. And frankly, I'm a little bit more inclined to believe Blizzard than I am hsreplay.net, and it's just easier to have the automatic built decks. But every month you kind of should rebuild your deck again because the cards and the way people play the cards would have changed. And I haven't gotten around to do that probably in 2 months now. And a month's worth of playing in Hearthstone actually isn't a ton when you split it between 9 different decks and when you're playing between 3 different region accounts. So a lot of my decks that have been pre-built barely have 4 or 5 games on record because I'm not one of these Twitch streamers that is just playing Hearthstone 12 hours a day. In fact, most of my channel, and what I'd prefer to be known by more than the Hearthstone streams, is the pre-recorded footage of covering and criticizing and reviewing other video games. I've got a whole playlist and a channel of 5,000 videos plus of covering beginning to end coverage of games, criticizing them. And I would like those videos to get more views and gain a level of always being moderately popular. But that's pretty much not how YouTube works. How YouTube does work, I have no idea, but I definitely know how it doesn't work. Like, I would not be a streamer that played Hearthstone for 12 hours a day. I don't even really like it for the 3 hours, 3 days a week that I go through it. That's why I added covering the video game news and talking about games that came out on Steam. Hearthstone's too slow and too time consuming. And it's just such an old game. But that's the problem with Magic Arena too, is that playing it would be very slow and very time consuming, I think even more than Hearthstone, so I'm looking for something that would be faster, something closer to Clash Royale in a card game form where it's barely 3 minutes per game. And we have another legendary. Alright. We are getting really, really good drop rates right now. Epics. We didn't get a lot of legendaries, but we got a lot of epics. Alright. So, the duplicates this time are 1 epic, 25 rares, and 87 commons for a total of 1,035 dust. A lot of the people who do stream Hearthstone have so much dust in their sets that they don't have anything they can even do with it. Like, they very often have accounts that are full golds. Can I disenchant this because it's gold? Because I need the dust though. That's new. Can I disenchant that because it's gold? No, because I don't have a regular version of it. In that case, I might as well just keep it, because there's some scenarios where this might get nerfed and then you would get the gold back, so it would sell and disenchant for 1,600 dust, and that might be some profit. We got that legendary that we didn't need, and it glitched again. We'll keep that one then. And we'll disenchant that one. Disenchant that. And yeah, it's just glitching all over the place. So that's new. Meanwhile, if we look at the missing cards on Classic, what I was supposed to be going for, instead of we could look at Rise of the Shadows just as a comparison. There's still a considerable amount of Rise of the Shadow cards that we don't have in this account, but that's secondary to the importance of what is missing on Classic, because that's the big deal. Still missing 1 epic there, 1 epic here, 1 epic there, 1 epic there. No, those were all legendaries. This is an epic. I could craft that. 2 epics here. Quite a bit of legendaries and epics here. So definitely not a complete collection. But the other expansions, like Kobolds and Catacombs, I specifically went through and dusted everything, so I am missing all the cards. If I take out the key phrase of missing and go out of crafting mode, the only Kobolds and Catacombs card I have is the one that you can't disenchant because it's uncraftable, and the only other wild cards I have are 2 uncraftable cards here and an uncraftable card here. Everything else got dusted, and then that dust was used to get more classic cards and speed it up, which is quite frankly the best strategy I think you can take. Do that. Now, I don't know about these featured cards per se, whether they are good cards to try and get or not. They're featuring some cards that they would recommend, I guess, that you have. That being said, these are both from the Boomsday Project, so maybe that's not the smartest to move. But yeah, we're in a good position. We've got a lot of dust. I'll have to use that off screen once I find some free time. Let's go over to the Asian account and see how well we can do this time. And I know I've been going long because I've almost run out of water to drink.
Welcome to the end, friend.
So let's check this out. Tomorrow will be Friday and I'll have to get all of these daily quests done. Challenge a friend. Kind of very difficult to do on Asian accounts in particular. Getting random people to friend you and accept challenges from the Asian account seems to be socially awkward more than you would on the European or American account. And often I'll get the feeling that they will, instead of just declining your offer and being rude, they'll just sit and let it just sit there.
Such beautiful creatures.
Alright. So, same as the European account. I doubt I'll ever actually get around to doing this, but I want to own this. This would be having the Asian and the European accounts, solo adventures. If anybody I personally knew ever wanted to play these through, they'd be the first ones to go through it, and it really wouldn't change too much, quite frankly, if to replay it versus playing it the first time. And the funny thing about that is I also have a secondary account, which is also a bit of an issue there. And so I probably need to go buy those. So all 5 chapters actually on my secondary account, and I didn't even think of it. My secondary account is bad. Apparently I'm also missing some cards that I disenchanted. So let's just look here. Yeah, 30. No, it has 30 cards on it. So what is this number? 21 of. Is this a win ratio that it's keeping metrics on? I've never seen this, and I don't have any special overlay program running right now, so Hearthstone has just added a new feature, apparently. Whatever that is. Alright, let's double check to see if I really need to open classic cards. I think the answer to that is very much yes. By the way, it did go into crafting mode, so you see cards you don't have with the key phrase missing. Yeah, there's still enough here that even if I did get 3 or 4 legendaries, there's at least 10 legendaries in general on neutral that I'd want. It's about 14, maybe 16 in total. So that's where I want to focus, even though, sure, the cards from, where is it? Rise of the Shadows. There's a lot of epics we could get, and some legendaries here too. I think I just used dust to craft all the commons, and that might be a good strategy, and it might not be. It might be a good strategy to craft commons. It might be a good strategy to. I did buy the solo adventure, right? Sorry, I'm getting forgetful in my old age. Yeah, just want to make sure I bought it before I spend every last penny here. Actually, I don't even think I'm gonna spend every last penny. Let's classic 25 packs here. buy. And I'm gonna say let's get 5 packs of this. And that should be alright. So that's 30 more cards to open, and then we're at the end of the stream. So in 5 packs of Rise of the Shadows, how many legendaries should we get? The answer is pretty much none. We should maybe, if we're lucky, get a legendary. In 25 packs of cards, of classic cards, we should maybe get 1 legendary and maybe 3 epics. We've seen 1 epic so far. Nothing here. Two more packs to get a legendary in Rise of the Shadows. Nothing here. This is usually your drop rates. Just a lot of commons, a lot of rares. So, yeah, opening 5, we got a golden common. Alright, so that seemed very reasonable drop rates. And this starting off is pretty reasonable common cards. And all of those will be dusted because it's a common or rares. But that's pretty much how it's just going to go, always. You're going to end up with tons and tons of duplicates. And dust it, and then use the dust to make new cards. I guess I am kind of playing Hearthstone like a gacha game, where it's a gotta collect them all mentality. I want 2 of every cards in case I want to make a crazy deck and do something silly, although I really don't spend enough time in Hearthstone these days to do something like that. Whereas if I was playing better strategy, I would just build and use dust to create the cards that HS Replay tells me to create and have the best of the best and get rid of the rest. I don't think that's the best way to play as a streamer, though. Particularly as a streamer who knows they're not going to get high up the ladder in rank play or play a lot of arena. Well, we've got an epic, but so far we're not seeing those drop rates. So I may have made a horrible mistake here, because there might be a glitch in the Rise of the Shadow drop rates where somebody typed in the number 5 instead of 50 as far as the pity counter, but it's not the same for the other card packs. Yeah, if this was the same drop rates that we were getting before, I would have had at least 1 legendary by now on Classic. I rolled my chances and... well, we're getting epics. But that's about it. It would be nice if the cycle could complete itself on currency, but that's not how they do the multiple currency flim-flam that free-to-play games do. If we could take dust and then use dust to buy packs, then there would be a chance then that you could get more value for your dust than normal. And unless they account for that very, very specifically, and that's not how it usually works. You take real world money, and then they try to convince you to turn that into gold, and then the gold opens packs, and then any duplicates or extra from the packs get turned into the third currency of dust, and you can't convert dust back into gold, so you can't play arena with dust, and you can't convert dust back into gold to purchase packs. So the only thing you can do with dust is craft cards at a pretty high price. Meanwhile, you're probably not paying enough attention, so you really don't ever have a great idea of how much actual real-world money did you spend to get even 10 pieces of dust. Or how much real-world money did you really spend to get the equivalent amount of gold. One thing Hearthstone could specifically do to feel a lot less greedy is it gives you 10 gold for every 3 victories in ranked play. If it was 10 gold for every 1 victory, you could triple the gold grind rate pretty quickly and help new players catch up. I think the new player process for Hearthstone is still very bad, and frankly, as an old player, it wouldn't bother me one bit if new players were just given all the wild cards. Just like, day one, you make a new account, here's your welcome bundle, here's a bunch of wild cards, new players can play in wild if they want. You've got way more cards than you can ever look at or know what to do with, and then everybody would be at least on a better footing as far as card collections. And the only reward as an old player I would ask is just give me that same offer. Just give all the old players like the first 2 expansions at the very least that came out that are in wild. And if you have extras of those cards, you just get a bunch of dust, which would then let older players create cards using that dust. It would in the newer expansions, or just create gold versions of those cards. But yeah, if you're trying to get into Hearthstone now and you want to take the easy route, you're gonna have to be a whale. You're gonna have to spend a lot of money to just buy packs, like $60 a month for maybe a year. Might be the minimum. You can certainly play free to play, but the struggle will be very high. And they've kind of admitted that because they've turned ranked from starting at like rank 25 down to rank 50 for new players. So they've really segregated the new players down into a much lower ranks. Alright, so that was slightly better on the dust, but not anywhere as good on the I opened 30 packs this time instead of 25, but that was nowhere as good as far as the drop rate of legendaries. 1470 dust. Alright, let's see what is new that we got between these, the Rise of the Shadows and Classic. We got a couple of rares that apparently I didn't have 2 copies of. Another Classic Epic I didn't have. Can I disenchant this for dust? Yes. We apparently didn't have 2 of those. Can I disenchant this? Yes, I can. 1 of those. Can I disenchant this? Yes. Can I disenchant that? No. Can I disenchant that? Can. And we've got 1 more of those. And we'll come back and mess with the bug. Apparently, this was the only new Rise of the Shadow deck cards that I had that are new. Meanwhile, if we use the missing key phrase and lock that down to just Rise of the Shadow, I still am missing quite a lot. A lot of epics, a lot of legendaries. Not terrible amount though, just 11 pages. Compare that to what I'm missing on Classic. There's a lot less on Classic, but they are all legendaries. So it would cost 1600 dust to make one of those, so I could make 3 legendaries with the amount of dust I have, and I don't know if that's the right way to do it, and I certainly don't know if I should get Deathwing or Malygos. There's definitely a Malygos deck you can build and play. And yeah, everything here is missing in the solo expansions that are in Wild. Yeah, because I dusted all of that. Alright, well, how much gold do I have? I have 468 gold. Let's get into the gambling spirit and buy 4 more packs of Rise of the Shadows, because I do feel like that somebody typed in the wrong number and is glitched. And I won't go in there into the collection and dust anything or anything like that after this. This will just be where we end. I'm just trying to see if we get a legendary in the next 4, because then that would be the proof that it's still glitched. It might be that the glitch has been fixed and it was just for a brief second, or it might have been that I just got incredibly lucky, or it might be that the glitch only works on the Americas account and the European account, and it doesn't work on the Asian account, which would make sense too. By the way, if they just merged the Americas, European, and Asian accounts, if they merged all 3 of those together, I would have so much extra dust and cards. I would be in. I'd have almost a complete collection, I'm sure. Well, we got another epic out of it, but no legendary. The only reason that I really don't know if there is a good reason to keep the accounts split. There is a China account, certainly, that is behind the Great Firewall of China, and I understand why that account is split, and that's why I don't have it and can't log into that, but there's really no reason or rhyme to have a Asian account and a European account and the Americas account. It should just be a mostly worldwide account, because it's the same login and everything. It's not like I made a 3rd account. We had somebody on the chat called Autumn that says, UWU, what's this .w.w. I have no idea what that is. I don't know if they're trying to draw pictures with letters or what. But on that confusing note, that's going to be it for this special recording. Thank you to everybody who watched and chat. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos, because that helps me with YouTube and tells them that my videos are worth watching, which is probably a good thing these days. When you subscribe to my channel, make sure you click the notification bell, click the pull down, make sure you get all notifications under that pull down. Whatever hoops you have to jump through to actually get notifications from YouTube, which frankly is a lot of hoops. If you want to get some backup notifications, you can friend and follow me on a myriad of social media sites. There's a bunch of links down below in the description. And if you want to support me even further, which would be greatly appreciated, there's a link to Patreon down below. Or you could friend me on Steam and gift me a game off my wish list, or gift me a gift card, or just gift me a game you'd like to see me cover. That's very helpful too. Remember, the Steam Summer Sale is coming pretty soon. Thank you for watching. Have a